What's up guys, it's Rob, and today we're going to be looking at the Roccat Kone Pure Ultra, otherwise known as the KPU. This mouse was released in 2019 Q4, so it's been out for quite a while, but just wanted to say huge shout out to Roccat and 3Step for sending this mouse out to me to review. I really appreciate it, but of course it will not affect the review in any way. At the end of the video, I will have clips I got while playing in game with this mouse, so please be sure to stick around for that. So the KPU costs $70 and it weighs out at 67 grams on my scale. It has an ergonomic shape and it looks very bulky. It kind of looks like it would weigh a lot more than what it actually does, so it's kind of confusing on the eye, but once you have it in your hands, it does feel like a lightweight mouse. The liftoff distance is kind of medium to high. You can change it on the software, and the lowest setting is still kind of medium liftoff distance, but it isn't high by any means. To test liftoff distance, I normally use playing cards. I put the playing cards on each end of the mouse, making the sensor kind of levitate between them, and will most mice with a low liftoff distance come out to 1 playing card or 2 playing cards. This mouse came out to 4, which is kind of like on the medium side, and when I raised the liftoff distance, it went all the way up to 8, which is on the higher end of mice. So like I said earlier, this mouse does have an ergonomic shape. At my hand size, I'm not really able to palm the mouse without having my fingers overlap mouse 1 and mouse 2. It is a pretty short mouse, so I'm not able to palm at my hand size, but claw worked really well for me with this mouse, and fingertip grip is also a great option. I found both of the grips extremely comfortable and doable with this mouse at my hand size, but if you look at the shape, you can definitely tell that this shape is not for everyone. There are some pretty crazy curves on this mouse, and I would just keep that in mind before you end up choosing to buy this mouse, especially right here on the left back side of the mouse. Kind of have this hump on the left side and then a huge dip where your thumb normally goes like this. So when I grip the mouse, I'm kind of avoiding that big hump. I'm not really like resting my thumb on it or anything, but I've heard people have pain on their hands and thumb because of this big hump. So definitely keep that in mind. If you're someone who grips their mouse very tight or likes to wrap their thumb around the left side of the mouse, just make sure you keep this in mind that this groove is very extreme. It really wasn't an issue for me, but I could see how it could be an issue for many other people. And well, this mouse is definitely a great mouse to try if you're looking for different shape or if you just like ergonomic mice, because this is a really good mouse and I really enjoyed my time using it. So like I said before, claw and fingertip were great for me at my hand size. The length of my hand is 17.5 centimeters long and the width of my hand is 9.5 centimeters wide. So now for the coating of the mouse. This mouse has the absolute best coating I have ever used on any mouse. It is extremely grippy and it has almost like a rubber sleek-like feeling to it. It just feels really good. I have very sweaty hands, so coating is a really big deal for me, but I did not struggle with this mouse when it came to the coating. I never lost grip, it was never slippery or anything like that. This coating is definitely better than that of the XM1 and the Rivals 3, who have great coatings as well. But the coating of this mouse is just on another level. It feels really good in the hand, and you just get great grip when using the mouse. One thing I would note about the coating though is that you do sometimes leave fingerprints. It really isn't all that excessive like some mice or like glossy mice, but you do sometimes leave some fingerprints on the mouse, so just keep that in mind. So now for probably the worst feature of the mouse, and that is the cable. The cable is pretty bad. It is a rubber cable, unfortunately. I know what you're already saying. For $70, why would you get a mouse with a rubber cable? I still definitely think it's worth it, but I do think the cable would need to be replaced to just have the optimal experience with the mouse. As you can see, it is very stiff, and you do feel it while you're playing in game, even if you're using a bungee. So I would definitely recommend getting a new cable, a more flexible one of course, and your experience with the mouse would definitely improve drastically. And now for the mouse feet. So I've heard mixed reviews on the mouse feet of this mouse. I've heard people say that they're completely fine, they have a great glide, and they're pretty smooth with no scratchiness. While I've heard other people say that the glide really isn't all that smooth and that they get a lot of scratchiness with not that much glide whatsoever. But what did I experience? So for me, I did get a decent glide, and it was a pretty smooth glide as well. I didn't get any scratchiness, and well, I really think that it's just 50-50 whether or not you'd get bad or good mouse feet with this mouse. So if you do end up buying this mouse, I would just go in with the mindset that you will most likely need to replace them if they are scratchy, so just definitely keep that in mind. So now for mouse 1 and mouse 2. You can drag click with this mouse. I'm really not the best at it, but Here's me doing it just a tad bit. It is possible with this mouse. But anyways, mouse 1 and mouse 2 feel great when pressing down. Mouse 1 sounds just a tad bit louder than mouse 2, but they both feel great and they feel the same. It isn't the crispiest of clicks, but it's still nice and clicky. I don't really get any post or pre-travel with either mouse 1 or mouse 2. And the distance that mouse 1 and mouse 2 can travel is very minimal. This didn't really affect my aim or anything like that. It wasn't an issue at all, I just thought I would mention it. But both mouse 1 and mouse 2 are pretty sensitive, and they are very light. They do not require much force to actuate at all, so just keep in mind that they are pretty sensitive. Actually, just a bit too sensitive for me, but that is only because I prefer heavier clicks on my mice. Every once in a while I was playing in game, I would accidentally click mouse 1. This is mainly because I'm used to heavier clicks, and every time I use a mouse that has more sensitive clicks, I end up accidentally clicking. So if you do like pretty light clicks, then you will love the clicks of this mouse. And now for the side buttons. Side buttons are positioned in a very awkward spot. They are on the side of the mouse, but they're very close to the top as well. And then when you're resting your finger here on this huge dip, you kind of have to come up over this small hump to press on them. And they're kind of right in between where the side of the mouse and the top of the mouse meet. And for the way I was gripping the mouse, it kind of felt awkward having to come up here and press the side buttons like that. Because normally this groove isn't that far into the side of the mouse. But as you can see, it is pretty extreme. So definitely just keep that in mind. It was sometimes awkward having to come up to press the side buttons. You can't really like roll your thumb like you would with other mice as easily, at least, because of the huge dip. So I just thought it was something to note. But other than that, for the side buttons, I get no pre or post travel, and they have a nice click to them. They feel great and performed very well. I just didn't really like the positioning of the side buttons. So now for the scroll wheel. The scroll wheel is very tactile, and you definitely feel each step when scrolling up or down. And the scroll wheel definitely is on the louder side when it comes to the sound that the scroll wheel makes. It is somewhat loud, so just keep that in mind. And also, when pressing down on middle mouse button, it seems to require a tad bit above average actuation force to press down on the middle mouse button. It does have a nice click to it, and when pressing down on middle mouse button, I never scrolled up or down on accident. I also never pressed down on middle mouse button while scrolling up or down. A pretty solid scroll wheel overall. So one thing I'd also like to note is that when I scroll with my middle finger. I don't use my pointer finger to scroll. So because this mouse is pretty short, I have to kind of curl my middle finger a bit more than usual to use the scroll wheel. And it kind of just felt a little bit awkward because I had to curl my finger so much. Definitely not a big deal, but I just thought it was something to note. It doesn't feel awkward at all when I use my pointer finger, but I just thought it was something to note because it was something I experienced while using and testing the mouse. But like I said before, overall a very solid scroll wheel. And now for the build quality. You guys already know all Roccat mice are built like tanks, and this is definitely no exception. This mouse is built very, very well. It feels very solid and of very high quality. When stress testing the mouse, I get no flex anywhere, no creaking, no rattle or anything. It's just built extremely solid, and it feels like you could throw this at someone and knock them out. So would I end up recommending this mouse? Yeah, I definitely would. You might have to replace the cable and the mouse feet just to make your experience better with the mouse, or you could just try it completely stock. But if you're someone who's looking and trying to test out different shapes, then this is definitely a great option because this shape is very unique. Just keep in mind that some of the dips or the curves of the mouse can be pretty extreme. And if you're also just into ergonomic mice, this is a very solid, lightweight option as well. And it is without holes too. It's built really well with very nice sensitive clicks. It does have some nice RGB. And well, other than the cable and the mouse feet, I really couldn't point out any major issues with the mouse. It was very fun to use, and I really enjoyed myself with it. And I performed really well with it too. So thank you all so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Please sub and like the video. It really helps a ton, and we're getting closer to 10k subs. But anyways guys, it's been Rob, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Yeah, no I don't. That's okay. I know if you're like
Not all players connected.
It's open, it's open. Nice.
I forget to do that flip, Barb.
Oh! Woo! Oh my god, that rocket. Ooh.
Meg.
Oh, that guy got fucked.
Man, I got mind control over people. You be like, shut the fuck up. I be quiet. But when he leave,